Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown is one of my favorite albums of all time, and today I'm going to be reviewing it. Danny Brown is a rapper. I don't know his exact age. I'm doing this off memory. I think he's in his early to mid 40s, and he's about to release a new album, Quarantra. As you can see by this Google Trend spike right here, it's Danny Brown week, so I must have to talk about something Danny Brown related. Today I'm going to be talking about Atrocity Exhibition, Danny Brown's best album by far. And you know, tracks off this album, every single track off this album just is so different from his previous works. Triple X did have that kind of, you know, his weird, not necessarily like nasally voice, but his weird voice and his like flows and stuff. That was all on point with the album Triple X. But on this new album, he brought all of that with this kind of different vibe that I really like. But my first few listens, oh boy, I did not like this album at all. Track 1, where's my phone? Track 1, Downward Spiral. Danny's talking about going on a downward spiral. Yes, correct. He's literally just like talking about how he's been in this room for 3 days and how he only goes like outside of this room to like pick up and stuff. He's living a depraved lifestyle, and we'll get into this theme of depravity later into the album, but it already like sets like this tone that the album's gonna be very dark and, you know, very personal, and the instrumental pairs with it perfectly. When I first started listening to this was like the second Danny Brown song I've ever heard, so he was going like crazy with the voice, and it's like it was jarring, but the instrumental fits it perfectly. It's like, have you guys ever seen the movie Kangaroo Jack, where the guy's having the hallucinations and he sees the kangaroo Jack, and that it's kind of like the music that was playing in that scene. That was the instrumental for Downward Spiral.
Hey, where's your phone?
Around near the Denny's.
You guys have a Denny's?
You guys have a Denny's? Track 2, Tell Me What I Don't Know. When I first heard this track, I liked it a lot more because he was rapping in kind of like a more normal way. But Tell Me What I Don't Know, he's talking about, you know, him growing up, and, you know, it was a difficult lifestyle for him. It doesn't excuse him for like the stuff he does, like, you know, drugs are bad, okay? But you level with him a bit in this track, and the instrumental, really crazy. Like the little whistle going on in the background, like it's, I feel like he added that as if it was like boot camp training, you know? He was like being put through these like rigorous tests by life, and you know, it's just like that's who he is now because of it. Really good track, Tell Me What I Don't Know, really good track. Rolling Stone featuring Petite Noir, really good chorus.
You know I'm living like a rolling stone, don't feel it for me, you know I'm in my zone,
so don't speak to me. Yeah.
But Danny Brown comes back with that voice that I didn't necessarily like the first time I heard it, but it's grown on me a lot. Danny Brown's signature voices. I'm kind of getting like early Eminem vibes, you know, where Eminem was like really exaggerating his voice for like comedy. Danny Brown's kind of doing the same thing, but this album's not funny. This album is sad. This album's very sad. He's talking about in the lyrics again, you know, it's like all the stuff that he does, you know, life doesn't change, you know. Let me look at some specific lyrics. Like when he raps, you kind of like just phase out exactly what he's saying like the first few times, but then you like look at the lyric. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of symbolism throughout the whole entire album. It's crazy.
Thought process so immature, can't make it up out of the sewer.
And that's like metaphorical, obviously. And I'm gonna be talking about this. By the way, trigger warning, heavy themes of drug abuse. Danny Brown does drugs, so I guess that's the metaphorical sewer. That just goes to show the wordplay Danny Brown was pulling out in tracks this early of the album. It's really good. And then the bass line on Rolling Stone, really good. Something you would hear off a Rolling Stones song, kind of. Maybe not. I don't know. I only listened to a few of the Rolling Stones songs. Wait, am I tweaking? Yeah, there we go. There is an artist called the Rolling Stones.
I see your red door and I want it painted black. That's pretty good. I don't know, guys.
Back to the album. Track 4 was the deal breaker for me, because at this point in the album, like my first listen, I was about to be like, this album is either one of the greatest I've ever heard or one of the worst albums I've ever heard. And Really Though changed my mind entirely. I loved this album after track 4, because this track not only has Danny Brown on it, but it has Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, and Earl Sweatshirt all on the same track, and they're all doing their best. Like nobody has like a sloppy verse. Like it's like you take these 4 artists, maybe Ab-Soul's probably not at his prime at this point in time. Ab-Soul's probably not at his prime in this point in time, but Danny Brown, Kendrick, and Earl, you know, they all peak around, you know, the 2014, 2018, like it's time. Maybe not Earl, because Voider was a pretty good album. Really though, it was just like the culmination of 4 really good artists getting together on one track with this crazy instrumental. I think that's like a glockenspiel in the background. I know I'm a little bit of a nerd. Why would they name an instrument that? That's such a weird name. Track 5, Lost. Although I love all the other albums, although I love all the other tracks on this album, Lost just kind of falls into the background for me. Like, I mean, it's good, but it's like, it's just another song where he's rapping about these, you know, intense themes. I really do like this track. It's just more, you know. I don't think there's much changed from Lost to, like, say, Gold Dust, even though I like Gold Dust a little bit more than I like Lost. But Lost is still a good track. Track 6, another highlight, another really good highlight of this album. Ain't It Funny? That crazy, like, droning synth in the background. Danny Brown is rapping on top of it, and it's crazy. He's talking about, like, he can't get off, he's making excuses for why he can't get off drugs, and it's because he's genetically predisposed, which I guess you could make the argument for that, but, like, dude, crazy sample on this. I'm gonna go on a little tangent about the sample. The samples on this album are absolutely crazy. Like, Dance in the Water sample, like, it sounds so simple, but then you pair it with all the other parts of the instrumental, and it's really, really layered, really good. There's a whole bunch of texture in all the beats. Everything about it's super nice, you know? But, I mean, the production on this album is seriously like no other album I've ever heard before. Everything about the production on this album is, like, seriously crazy. Just so much. What's not to love, in my opinion? Like, Gold Dust is just another example of one of those tracks. I mean, the lyrics are a little bit more, you know, on this track. You know, he's just talking about more of the same thing. Maybe if he brought in some more, like, you know, like, thought-provoking lyrics, this track would be another highlight. But I don't know. The instrumental's good on it, though. White Lines chorus kind of, like, mixes with the instrumental really good. It's like it's kind of giving me Sesame Street vibes, but the instrumental in this goes hard. I mean, the lyrics, you know, he's talking about smoking till so much till he faints. Not a good thing. Pneumonia, another great track. Danny is, like, going crazy with the lyrics on this one. Just kind of a normal instrumental, really. It's like as if someone made a Danny Brown type beat and then Danny Brown just rapped on top of it. It just seems like the instrumental's good on this one. It's not horrible, it's not great, it's good. But Danny's lyrics is where he shines on this record. You know, you can never have your cake and eat it too with a track on this album. Like, if the instrumentals are really, really good, then it's Danny talking about nothing. But if it's Danny Brown, like, talking about something, like, really thought-provoking and rapping about something, like, really down to earth and personal, then the instrumental just kind of falls into the background. And maybe that's a good thing, because really I'm paying attention to what he's saying throughout the entire album, and it's just a whole bunch of, like, not even rapping, it's poetry. Really poetry. But Pneumonia is a good track. I really like Pneumonia. Like I said, Dance in the Water's instrumental goes crazy hard. It's like all these, like, exotic instruments, and then Danny Brown's just repeating really fast. Dance in the water, and I get wet, and I get wet, and I get wet. Awesome. Oh, I gotta open up Spotify again. Kaleila's verse on From the Ground. It's not a verse, of course. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Crazy singing. Like, really good singing.
You turn around, and now I'm winning. I built it up from the ground. You stay asleep, I'm gonna get it. I built it up from the ground.
I feel like that should show you how much I like From the Ground. Seriously, Danny Brown's verse on that is, like, just super smooth. You know, everything about the track is super smooth. It's just a head-bopping track. I mean, the themes aren't good. Like, I really am, like, starting to understand. It's like, don't do anything Danny Brown does on this album, by the way. It's a little PSA. Rappers on most albums, like Lil B and, like, you know, like, most mumble rappers or, like, trap artists talk about just doing drugs and glorifying it, but it's not. You don't glorify that stuff. Danny Brown might be glorifying it on this album, but he's really just talking about the side effects too, and why you shouldn't be doing it, because every single hill has to go down eventually. You know, every single time you rise, you're also gonna fall.
I'm looking at you, Christian.
That pluck on the beginning of When It Rains just triggers something in my amygdala, and I have to, like, listen to the full song. There's no skips on this album, but if I had to pick, like, 100 of my favorite songs, I would skip, like, 50 of them, because one of the ones I wouldn't skip is When It Rains. When It Rains is crazy good, you know? It's like, it makes me want to fight somebody! Everything about When It Rains is good. I have nothing to hate about this album besides maybe some of the lyrics. Like, at this point in time, I feel like I'm kind of harsh on the music that I listen to. I mean, albums that I like are like a 5.5 or above, and everything below that, just meh, and then less. I mean, I eventually want to review an album that I hate. I'd love to review an album that I hate, but I don't really hate much much music. I just think most music's mid. But this track is the opposite of mid. This whole entire album's the opposite of mid so far. I love this album so much. It's okay. Today is kind of a okay track, you know. Like the verse is really good, but like I said, you can't have your cake and eat it too. The instrumental does kind of fall into the background a little bit. Not super thrilled about the instrumental, but really the lyrics, it's just crazy. I'm always at a loss for words every time, you know, Danny drops something new. I wasn't, you know, like, what was it, 2016? I'm 15 now. 8? That I would be 8 when this album came out. So I wasn't really, you know, sentient when this album first came out. I was still listening to Marshmello and NF of all things. Oh my god. But stuff like that, I mean, really, just today's pretty good track. Nice job, Danny Brown. Get High. I'm just gonna blaze over this one quickly. I don't think that's fitting. Go over this one quickly. Be Real's verse on this, or chorus, pretty good. I'm pretty sure that's the same guy who did like another song. Yeah, the track's pretty good, and everything about this album culminates into the last track, Hell For It. You know, it's just a crazy good track. I mean, there's really nothing else I can say. He'll just be rapping about this, you know, stuff that's kind of, you'd think was unrelated to the theme, and then he'll hit you with the mom about to lose her house, gotta figure this shit out, and then you're like, oh okay, I forgot I'm listening to Atrocity Exhibition. I forgot I was listening to this. And then the instrumental's just like, it's like, it really just puts me into like, as if I was like right next to Danny Brown and he was just talking about his issues. You know, this album's like him venting in a way, you know? But really, everything about Hell For It is a really good track too. How does this song end again? That piano on the chorus too, that's pretty good. It's also going throughout the whole entire instrumental. I don't know why I say just the chorus, because the song, the instrumental stays the same throughout the entire song, which is, you know, pretty good. You know, maybe you could have done something a little bit different, but besides that, Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown is one of the best albums I've heard in the past 3-4 years. You know, it blew my mind the first, you know, 4 or 5 listens after I really just got used to how Danny Brown, you know, rap. But for sound, I think I'm gonna give this 5 stars, solid 5 stars. Everything about the sound is perfect. You know, nothing's like mixed improperly. Maybe the instrumentals could have been a little bit better. That's more of a vibe thing. Speaking of vibe, the instrumentals, you know, like out of the 3 of the instrumentals were okay, you know, and that's really good, but it's not a 5-star thing. I think I'm gonna give vibe 3.5 stars. I feel like I am right next to Danny Brown when he's rapping this, but I mean, the vibe just needs to get kind of sorted out. And then lyrics, I'm gonna give that 4.5 stars, because the lyrics, while sometimes he is rapping about, you know, just kind of like stuff, I guess that's what most rappers do anyways, but as like, he'll just drop truth bombs and stuff, and then he'll just like say these most like thought-provoking things, and it's really like, it's really personal in some parts of the album, and I really respect that. So I think I'm gonna give lyrics 4.5 stars. So 5 stars, 4.5 stars. I'm just gonna raise my thumb a little bit for that, and then 3.5 stars. Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown is a 4.5-star album.
Look at this fellow. Look at him.
Oh my god!
Listen!
I was never book smart, I'm money smart, make me more intelligent. Call me Mr.